Grit here. Are you over 50 and feel like you're running on a hamster wheel? Like you're constantly striving but never actually finding peace? You sleep, but you're still tired. You get things done, but you still feel empty. Well, what if I told you that deep down, that exhaustion that you're feeling isn't something you just have to power through, right? What if it's not a sign that you're failing, but it's a sign that you're ready for a profound spiritual shift that nobody ever really talks about much? So stick around, because what we're about to uncover is really what it takes to get out of that hamster wheel and into a place of deep, satisfying rest. You know, from the time we were little girls, we were handed a script and the world told us, hey, keep pushing, keep striving, keep achieving, and one day you'll finally arrive, right? Well, we were taught that our value was tied to our productivity, our performance, or our ability to keep all the plates spinning without dropping a single one. And we built our careers, run our families, ran households, raised our children, cared for aging parents. We did it all. But underneath it all, there was the belief that was the same. If I work a little harder, if I give a little more, if I get a little more organized, if I prove myself over and over one more time, then I'll finally get to rest. But that day never seemed to come, right? Well, it makes me think of a woman I know, I'll call her Lisa, a wonderful client who was the picture of success. She had a great career, a beautiful family. It was a privilege to work with her, and she had a calendar that would make your head spin. And on the outside, she really had it all. But on the inside, she told me she was crumbling. And she told me once that, I feel like I'm running this marathon every single day, but I never cross a finish line. I'm just running. It's not satisfying, and I feel like I'm really going nowhere. And I did a similar thing when I was at CBS television. And what she just described right there was the hamster wheel. And that's the great lie of striving, right? It promises fulfillment, but it only delivers burnout. It's a cycle of performance-based acceptance that really leaves you more exhausted and empty with every turn. And for so many of us, turning 50 is that moment that we finally look around from inside the wheel and ask, is this really all there is? And if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm over 50, and I'm so grateful you're here with us. So let's dive in. What separates the woman who keeps spinning her wheels until they break from those who find the real lasting peace in their next chapter? It's not a new day planner. It's not another self-help book or a tougher workout plan. It's a fundamental shift in your identity. It's understanding that peace isn't a prize you win at the end of a race. It's a gift you receive when you decide to step out of the track altogether, off the hamster wheel. And the secret isn't learning to run faster, it's learning to rest in a new identity. And for us women of faith, that identity is rooted in not what we do, but in who we are in Jesus. And when your identity is rooted securely in Christ, everything changes. The striving stops, and the real peace and rest can finally begin. And what if I'm saying is already resonating in your heart? What if something deep inside you already feels this pull to step off the hamster wheel, but you're just not sure how? I want to invite you to take one small single step today. I've opened up 4 spots on my calendar for a complimentary one-on-one call to talk about this very thing. It's a totally no-pressure conversation just to help come alongside you and find your footing, find out where you're at. So you can find the link to book the call in the description below. This kind of identity shift doesn't happen by accident. It's an intentional turning away from one way of living and turning toward another. And I want to give you a simple 5-step framework to start this journey from striving into your spiritual rest. Step 1, recognize the hamster wheel for what it is, right? It's an unfulfilling wheel. And the first step here is just to name it. You have to look at this endless cycle of doing, pleasing, perfecting, and finally admit to yourself, this isn't working. This is the hamster wheel. It's that feeling of being busy but not productive, of being active but not really moving forward. The world wants to give us a badge for busyness. It's what the book of Ecclesiastes calls chasing after the wind. You can run and run and run, but you can't really ever catch it. And spiritual burnout often happens when our faith just becomes another task on our to-do list, right? Another way to perform. Now, our prayers can start to feel mechanical, or our service feels kind of draining. And we can even start secretly measuring our worth by these activities. And recognizing this isn't a failure, it's a moment of truth for you. It's admitting that your own strength and your own effort aren't enough to get you the peace that your soul is craving. It's the essential first step. Does any of that sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. So step 2, lean on the Prince of Peace, right? Once we admit our way isn't working, we can turn to the one whose way actually does work. In the Gospel of John, right before Jesus goes to the cross, he tells his worried disciples, "Peace I leave with you, and my peace I give you. I do not give you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Right? And by the way, did you know that faith is mentioned over 365 times in God's Word? That's one for every single day. So you can choose faith over fear every day. Now notice he says, "my peace." This isn't the world's version of peace, which is really just the absence of conflict or maybe a moment of quiet. The world's peace is fragile. It completely depends on our circumstances. But the peace of Jesus is a gift for our minds and our hearts that exists in spite of our circumstances. It's an inner calm that comes from knowing you're loved and you're approved of by God. And leaning on the Prince of Peace means you stop trying to manufacture your own peace. And you start receiving the peace that he gives so freely. It's a conscious choice to trust him more than you trust in your own ability to control every little piece of your life. And believe me, I tried to be perfect at that. Doesn't go anywhere. Step number 3, shift your identity from performance into being a person of the Lord. This is the absolute heart of the matter, really. For decades, many of us have built our entire identity on our performance, on our roles and what we accomplish. Wife, mother, executive, volunteer, the one who has it all together, or the one who always serves at church. And these are all really great things, but they're not the root of who you are. So when those roles shift, like when the kids leave home, you find yourself an empty nester, or career ends, or your body changes, it can feel like your very identity is coming undone. Your new identity, the one that brings rest, isn't based on what you do. It's based on who you are in Christ. Because you're chosen, you're deeply loved, and you're forgiven, and you're whole right now. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It's not up for review, a performance review, right? It's already settled, in fact. And when you put your identity in something that can't be taken away, you will live in a constant state of peace versus a constant state of anxiety, trying to prove an identity from the world. Your identity in Jesus is secure. So imagine waking up tomorrow, and your first thought isn't your to-do list, but the simple, profound truth: I am deeply loved and fully accepted by God right now, just as I am. That one thought changes everything. And it's the difference between working for acceptance and living from a place of acceptance. Okay, ladies, step number 4. Embrace rest and surrender. In this culture of hustle, 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 we're taught that rest can be laziness. But in God's kingdom, rest is an act of faith. It's a powerful declaration that says, God's in control. I don't have to be. And I spent way too many years, more than I care to admit, trying to be in control of everything. And think about Mary and Martha, often used example here. Martha was stressed, trying to create the perfect setting for Jesus. She was doing a good thing. But Mary chose what Jesus called the one thing needed. She just sat at the feet and rested in the presence. She chose relationship over religious activity. Jesus gives us that same invitation in Matthew 11 when he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. And I will give you rest. He will give you rest. He doesn't say work harder and then you'll earn rest. He says, come and I will give you rest. You know, the yoke he offers isn't a heavy burden of rules. Sure, there are some rules, but a partnership with him where he carries the load is a blessing. So surrendering isn't giving up. It's giving the weight of your life over to the only one strong enough who really can actually carry it. And it might look like the scheduling of quiet time where your only goal is to be still and be with him, or maybe intentionally saying no to things that really drain you so that you can spend some more time with him. Okay, step 5. Live from your new identity daily, right? Practice it, be it. This isn't a one and done decision. It's a daily practice. And the world may constantly try to pull you back onto that hamster wheel. Your old habits of striving and people-pleasing might call your name. So you have to be intentional about living from your new identity every single day. And it's okay to fall. We all do. But get up, recognize it, and cling back to him. It can be as simple as how you start your morning. You know, before your feet hit the floor, I love to even pray while I'm laying down. I don't touch my phone for a half an hour. And a simple prayer of, Lord, help me today. Help me live how you want me to live, not how the world wants me to live. I want to live in your peace and rest. I recently had the privilege of spending some time with Dr. Caroline Leaf and then interviewing her for a summit we just had called Rise Up Women. And you know, we discussed for an hour what the brain is actually capable of. Many, many years ago, science said it was static. It couldn't change. And now we know for a fact that the brain can absolutely change. It can rewire. As Dr. Leaf says, she compares it to roots in a tree. You know, they can untangle from old habits and retangle the way that we choose with God's grace as well. And did you know there's a cross on every single piece of DNA in your body? That says something. Let's give more of us to him. And I want to encourage you, this is about renewing your mind to line up with God's truth. You know, you are reminding your own soul in the morning of the good news. The work's already finished. Jesus' work on the cross was complete, and you're complete in him. You don't have to spend the rest of your days striving to be worthy. You can spend your life joyfully living and living out the worthiness that you've already been given. If this framework speaks to that deep weariness that you've been feeling, or if it sounds like a cool drink of water that your soul has been thirsting for, then please don't let this moment pass you by. This is more than just a video, right? I don't believe in coincidence. If you're watching this, it's for a reason. It's an invitation, and I truly believe that this shift is a key to a vibrant, peace-filled second half of your life. So click the link in the description below and book your call with me. Let's talk about how you can start living in your new identity today. Now, I want you to know this channel is here to support you, no matter where you are or what your journey looks like. And maybe now you're just realizing that you're on a hamster wheel. Maybe you're just curious. Maybe you're ready to learn more and build some trust. And maybe you're ready to take decisive action. You know, there's a place for you here. And my hope is to offer real inspiration. So again, if you're curious, I've got practical steps to help you learn and support whatever you're ready to act on. So make sure you're subscribed because we're in this together. And trust is a deep commodity in today's world of robot, AI, digital. You know, the world is going robot, right? And I'm here to make a personal connection with people that still want a personal connection. In fact, YouTube channels now are even being created with AI. And why should you trust some chick you've never seen before on a YouTube video? But this is the mission of my life, to support those of you who've gone through what I've gone through and help make my long journey to develop tools for a healthy life. Actually receive them. I've had wonderful mentors and learned a lot along the way. Not always the easy way, but to use what I've learned and what God's asked me to develop into a process to assist you, to assist anyone who's ready to step into a greater gift of God's identity for them, a greater measure of His destiny for you. So just know this is specifically for you. The woman in her 50s or beyond who've had this foundation of faith and who finds herself completely running on fumes at this point. You know, the world will offer you 1,000 solutions for midlife, right? The new car, the new husband, the new wife, the new exotic trip, the new diet. But none of that will give you a deep, spiritual, lasting peace and rest. So this message is for you because I believe you're ready for something more than a temporary fix. You're ready for permanent peace and meaning in your life. So I'm not here to perform or give you a perfectly polished formula. In fact, I show up as a mess sometimes, but this isn't about me. I'm sharing this from my own story and experience. That's why I say let my long road be your shortcut, right? And I've walked along countless women who have felt the exact same way as a support to guide them to a way that gives them more peace in their life. So if we can have this conversation about one topic every time we get together, just an authentic connection, so much more important than perfection. My only goal is to share the powerful, life-changing truths that have brought so much freedom to me and to many others. I'd love you to experience what many of my clients experience. So picture a snowball. Okay, we got a snowball. Top of a hill, right? And you've probably heard this analogy before. Once it starts rolling, it gathers more snow, more weight, gets bigger, and it becomes powerful, unstoppable force. You can be a mighty weapon in God's hand, an unstoppable force for His good. And that's exactly what happens when you start living from your new identity. Every day you can choose to believe that you're loved. And you give that snowball a little nudge. Every time you choose to surrender your fears and worries, instead of striving, the snowball will get a little larger in your new identity. So each small daily act of choosing peace over hustle takes you further towards God's purpose for you. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for hustle. Believe me, there's plenty of work ethic going on here because I need to reach you. But don't let another day go by feeling totally weary, burdened, and alone. This is your moment. This is your invitation to step into a whole new way of living or refine the one you're already living now. So thanks for spending time with me. And more importantly, I want to urge you to take the first step for you. So click the link in the description below. Book our call. Can't wait to see you there, hear you there, however we do it, Zoom or phone call. And I'd love to help you step into what God has made you for. And remember, this peace isn't about pushing harder. It's about resting in who you already are so you can hear His next steps for you. And let me help you get there. Let Him sink deep in your soul. So again, thanks so much for being here in this video. I hope I helped you in some way, shape, or form. Please share it with someone else if it was useful. And in our next video, we're going to talk about the practical steps to set some boundaries that will protect your newfound peace and identity. You don't want to miss it, and I will see you there. And in case no one told you today, just remember, you are beloved.